This is the reverse fly stretch using a band. You're going to need a medium to light tube. Doesn't matter if it has handles, can be a Pilates band if that's all you have. This is to target the pec minor muscle. So the pec minor not only really restricts overhead mobility, but it really restricts external rotation of the shoulder, right? We have our 90-90 test where we have 90 degrees at the shoulder, 90 degrees at the elbow. We have our hips and low back locked in. And we should always want to see at least 120 degrees of external rotation. If this is 90, we should always be able to get to at least 120. If you can't get to 120 degrees, then you have pretty significant overhead mobility restriction. Obviously, for my golfers or any athletes that work overhead, this is going to put you at higher risk for shoulder, neck injuries. It's also going to lead to compensations, because when we cannot get to a certain range of motion in one area, another area has to compensate and allow us to get into that range of motion. So external rotation, very important, which means we need to try to lengthen and get those pec minor muscles to allow more range of motion and movement. This is a very simple and effective stretch. Supinated grip, which means palms up. And you're going to start with your hands about shoulder width apart, right out in front of the shoulders, or slightly lower is fine. We're going to get in an athletic stance, and very important, we need to make sure that we maintain posture. As always, in every single one of these corrective exercise videos, a big element that we focus on is lumbar stability. So as we go through this pattern, we need to make sure that we keep our glutes engaged, our belly button pulled in, and we are locking in the low back and hips. We are not going to push the hips forward. We're not going to extend the low back as we go through the pattern. So we're getting into that stance and posture. We're maintaining all of those cues. We're going to make sure our head is up. We're not jutted forward. We're not looking down at the floor. We're in a nice neutral posture, head to tailbone, palms up. We're very simply going to pull the arms back and slightly down. Once you get as far back as you can, I want you to think about pointing your thumbs down to the floor with the palms up. Maybe even just squeezing those lower shoulder blade muscles, lower trapezius and rhomboids. And we're going to hold it for about 5 to 10 seconds before you return back nice and smooth. So maintaining that posture. We don't want too much resistance on the band. You want just enough that you feel a really good stretch, but not that it's limiting how far you can extend your arms behind you. You should feel a really good stretch in your upper chest and into the front of the shoulders. I recommend you do 10 to 15 repetitions as you maintain the cues and do the isometric hold and squeeze. Let me go for the side. So, posture maintained. Nice big breath in, expand the rib cage. We pull the arms back and slightly down. We point the thumbs towards the floor. We're externally rotating the humerus, getting an extra stretch on those pec minor muscles at the very back end of it. And that is how you perform the supinated grip reverse fly stretch using a band to help with external rotation.